He said, "We'll get her signature while she's asleep." But I was awake. I didn't open my eyes. Not yet. The light above my hospital bed flickered, humming softly, and the air smelled like bleach and wilting lilies. Someone had brought flowers, but they'd given up yesterday. I could tell by the way their stems drooped like secrets. At the edge of the tray sat my porcelain teacup, the one with the blue cornflowers and hairline crack near the lip. Kimberly had brought it from home, said it might cheer me up. I remembered her setting it down with a forced smile. That smile meant something now. "I'm telling you, Kim." "She doesn't need to understand it," the man whispered. His voice was tight, annoyed. "She just needs to sign." "She's had a stroke, Alan," Kimberly hissed. "Half the time she forgets what day it is. This is what's best for her. You said so." I felt the corners of my eyes prick. They thought I was asleep, incapable. But I'd been lying here, counting the tick of the wall clock, and watching that damn cup sweat against the tray. I knew exactly what day it was. I turned my head a millimeter. My neck protested, but I saw Alan's hand slide a paper out of his bag. Legal-sized, thick, not hospital forms. "It needs to be today," he muttered, "before they ask for evaluation. If she refuses later, it'll get complicated." I heard my daughter's breath hitch. "She always trusted me," she whispered. "It's just a signature." The click of a pen cap sent a chill down my spine. I closed my eyes tighter, pretending. My fingers twitched under the blanket. That teacup, my cup, it had a crack she never noticed. But I did. I always did. Then came the soft rustle of paper sliding onto the tray. A pause. "Why is her name already written?" Kimberly asked. Alan didn't answer. I opened my eyes, but I didn't say a word. Not yet. Alan didn't answer her question. He just shuffled the papers and cleared his throat. "Let's just keep moving. You said she trusts you." Kimberly didn't respond right away. I could feel her shifting her weight beside the bed. That old perfume she wore in college, vanilla and cedar, still clung to her, and it hit me like a memory laced with vinegar. "She does trust me," she finally whispered. "I'm not sure I trust you." My heart thumped once, hard, a silent drum inside a sleeping soldier. Alan gave a dry little chuckle. "We're doing her a favor. You said yourself the accounts are a mess. That house is falling apart. You want to spend the next 10 years dealing with maintenance and medical bills?" Silence. "She's not going to live forever, Kim." The weight of that sentence sat on my chest like wet cement. I'd said those very words once, but about my own mother. How quickly they come back to haunt. They stayed another minute. I kept breathing slow, even. Kimberly adjusted the blanket, smoothed my hair. Her fingers trembled against my forehead. When they finally left, I waited, counted to 50, then opened my eyes. The paper was still on the tray. I stared at it. My name, Marlene Wexler, was printed at the bottom in a slanted script that looked almost right, but not right enough. The W curled too tight. Kimberly would know that if she'd paid attention. I reached for the drawer. My right hand still worked, thank God. The motion was slow, clumsy, empty, no green notebook, gone. That little book was everything. My brain, I used to call it. Notes on every bill I paid, passwords, copies of letters, and scribbled memories I wasn't ready to forget. Gone. My stomach twisted. I shut the drawer and closed my eyes just as the door opened again. "Marlene, time for your meds," the nurse said gently. "You feeling okay today?" I turned my head and looked at her. "No," I said. "I'm wide awake." I slipped the paper off the tray and tucked it behind the juice cartons the nurse always forgot to clear. My hands trembled, but not from weakness. Not anymore. The nurse left without noticing a thing. She was young, kind but distracted, the kind of person who thought old women just slept all day and dreamed of grandchildren. I had no interest in dreams. I wanted facts. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, slowly, so I wouldn't set off the fall alarm, and gripped the armrest until the dizziness passed. At the hallway desk, I smiled sweetly at the older nurse with silver hair. Would you mind if I called my neighbor? Just forgot to ask her to water the begonias. You know how it is." She smiled. "Of course, hun. Take your time. Use that phone." The buttons felt unfamiliar under my fingers, but my mind knew the number. Dottie had lived across from me for 22 years. Widowed, sharp as a tack. She answered on the second ring. "Marlene?" "Dottie, listen. Has anyone been by the house?" Pause. "Yes," she said slowly. "Your daughter. And that man. He was carrying boxes out to a red pickup. I thought maybe you were moving." "No one's moving," I whispered. "Did you hear anything else?" "Hammering. Around the back. I saw them through the fence." Her voice dropped. "Is everything all right?" I shut my eyes. "No, Dottie, I need a favor. In my closet, on the top shelf, there's a blue shoebox marked Tax Files. Can you check if it's still there?" "I'll look now." The silence felt like hours. Then she came back. "It's gone." I pressed a hand to my chest. It didn't calm me. Dottie's voice hardened. "Marlene, I'll keep watch." I whispered, "Thank you," and hung up. I stood there shaking. The forged signature, the missing notebook, the box. Something was being erased, piece by piece. And then, her voice behind me. "I brought you something from the house," Kimberly said softly. "Thought it might cheer you up." I turned. She was holding the green notebook. Kimberly held the green notebook like it was a casserole she'd brought to a neighbor's funeral. "I thought you might want this," she said, placing it gently on my tray like she hadn't just tried to disappear it. I nodded, slowly. "That's kind of you." She sat in the chair beside the bed, crossing her legs the way she did when she was trying to look composed. Her perfume was lighter today. Something floral, not the cedar vanilla mix I'd known for years, trying on new versions of herself. "I went to the house yesterday," she began casually. "Thought I'd start sorting through the papers, maybe make things easier for when you're back on your feet." "How thoughtful," I said, folding my hands. My fingers wanted to lunge for that notebook, but I didn't move. "The truth is," she sighed, "the house might be too much now. Stairs, maintenance, and there's a great assisted living place just 5 minutes from Alan's office." I gave a soft laugh. "You've really thought of everything." She smiled, relieved. "I just want what's best, Mom." She stood up and smoothed her blouse, her voice brighter than it should have been. "Anyway, I'll bring the other documents tomorrow. There's a couple things you can help me sign if you're feeling up to it." My smile didn't move. "Looking forward to it." She left, and the moment the door clicked, I grabbed the notebook. Pages crinkled. Some of the tabs were gone. But worse, 3 full pages had been ripped out. The ones with my account numbers, my bank branch contact, the little notes I'd written to myself about which CD would mature next spring. My hands shook. I turned to the back, heart pounding, and there, in the margin of a page where I'd written a grocery list last winter, was a scribble that wasn't mine. "Confirm last 4 digits. Ask quietly." Alan's handwriting. I knew it from birthday cards. He'd read everything. I sat with the notebook in my lap long after Kimberly left, letting my fingers trace the torn edges like wounds. 3 pages gone, and his handwriting where mine should be. It wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. It was a blueprint. A few months ago, over Sunday lunch, Kimberly had smiled over her salad and asked, "Hey, Mom, just in case anything ever happens, do you have a pin or something I should know?" I'd laughed. Told her it was in the notebook. She'd smiled wider. Now I understood. When the night nurse came in with my usual sleeping pill, I shook my head. "Didn't sleep well last night," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "Want to stay awake and reset my rhythm." She nodded and dimmed the lights. "Try to rest, at least." But rest wasn't in the cards. Instead, I stared at the ceiling tiles and listened to the distant hum of the floor buffer, counting each pass like a metronome for panic. Somewhere in the middle of the night, a name rose in my memory like a lifeboat. Lewis Trent, branch manager at Westridge Bank. He once told me, "If anything looks funny, you call me first, Marlene. You're not just an account to me." I sat up just enough to reach the tissue box and used the golf pencil from my meal tray to scrawl his name on the bottom. The dawn was gray and slow. My hands ached, my legs wouldn't cooperate, but my mind? Sharp as ever. I had just tucked the tissue box back under the tray when the door opened again. A woman stepped in wearing a lab coat too clean for a night shift. Her hair was pinned back tight, and her smile was overly warm. "Good morning, Ms. Wexler," she said. "I'm Dr. Carlin. I'm filling in this week and just want to update some of your paperwork." She held a clipboard. Not hospital standard. I glanced at the top page. "General Durable Power of Attorney," it read. My name was already typed in. "Dr. Carlin," she repeated, easing closer with the clipboard. "Just some routine paperwork. We like to keep everything current, especially in your condition." My condition. That word itched. She smiled wide, but her badge was twisted backward, the name barely visible. I didn't recognize her, not from this floor, not from any shift, and I'd been here long enough to know who belonged. I tilted my head. "What kind of paperwork?" "Oh, nothing complicated. It just designates a representative in case of confusion down the road." I blinked, deliberately slow. "Like a medical proxy?" She hesitated. "More like general decision-making. For finances, property, you know." My fingers curled beneath the blanket. I said, feigning thought. "What meds did I get this morning again?" Her face flickered. "I'm not your prescribing physician." "Oh, of course," I cut in, smiling thinly. "Do you mind leaving it with me? I like to read things on my own time. I was a librarian once." A lie. But the kind older women are allowed to tell. She hesitated, just a flicker of resistance. Then she nodded. "I'll check back in an hour." When the door shut, I pulled the clipboard into my lap. It was pristine, laser printed, 3 clean pages, everything filled out except the signature. But between the second and third page, tucked like a guilty whisper, was a sticky note. "Sign this by lunch. Alan will pick it up. K." The K had a flourish I recognized from every birthday card. I didn't cry, I didn't curse. I just folded the forms twice, slid them into the pillowcase behind my back, and breathed through the heat rising behind my eyes. They were trying to make me disappear without ever leaving the room. A knock. The day nurse. Megan. The only one who called me Ms. Marlene, like it was a compliment. "You all right?" she asked, eyeing the empty tray. I smiled. "Could you bring me the hospital's legal advisor?" I said softly. She blinked. "Of course. I'll page them right now. They say you can trace the shape of betrayal, like a slow leak in the ceiling. I used to think it started here, in this hospital. But no, this started months ago, when Kimberly stopped calling just to chat and started showing up with questions. "Where's the deed, Mom? You always misplace things. Let me take a photo of those earrings, just in case something happens to them." At the time, I'd smiled. I told myself it was concern, maybe even love, in her own restless way. Now I saw it clearly. She was cataloging. The tissue box with Louis Trent's name sat beside me. I kept glancing at the clock, ticking soft as a heartbeat. It was almost 10. When Megan returned, she brought a woman in navy slacks and soft-soled shoes. "Ms. Marlene, this is Callie," she said. "She's from social services." Callie's handshake was firm, warm. We sat quietly until Megan closed the door behind her. "I need to report something," I said. "Someone brought me a legal document, not from the hospital, and I think someone is trying to take control of my accounts, my property." Callie's face didn't change much, just a tightening around her eyes. "Was it a family member?" she asked gently. I nodded. "I didn't sign it," I said. "But they're coming back, with more." She pulled a notepad from her satchel. "You did the right thing calling us. I'm going to escalate this to risk management and protective services." Just then, We both heard it. The sound of footsteps outside the door. Confident, relaxed. A man's voice, too cheerful. "Hang on," I whispered, panic rising. "That's him. Alan." Callie stood, understanding immediately. "Where?" I pointed to the bathroom. She slipped inside just as the door opened. Alan strolled in, holding 2 paper cups. "Morning, Marlene," he said with a grin. "Brought your favorite, hazelnut." Alan set the hazelnut coffee on my tray like he was delivering a bouquet. "Still hot," he said. "Kim says it helps you with the meds." I smiled, slow and warm. "That's kind of you." He pulled up the chair beside my bed, crossed one leg over the other, and started chatting about next steps. His tone was relaxed, too smooth, like someone who'd rehearsed a conversation in the mirror that morning. "Just a few signatures," he said, flipping a folder open on his lap. "You know, the usual stuff, banking, property. That way, if anything happens, everything's lined up. No stress for Kim. Or you." I tilted my head. "What exactly am I signing today, Alan?" He blinked. A small thing, but I saw it. The briefest stutter in his rhythm. "Nothing major, just making it official, so we can help take care of things. You've got a lot on your plate." I nodded slowly. "So thoughtful of you both." His smile returned, a little tighter now. "I'll just grab the folder from the car. Back in a flash." As the door clicked behind him, Callie stepped out of the bathroom, her eyes sharp. "You handled that beautifully," she said. "I heard enough to move forward." "Is this serious?" I asked, voice low. Callie didn't hesitate. "It's attempted financial coercion. Possibly elder abuse, depending how far it's gone. I'm placing a formal hold on any legal changes to your record starting today." Relief swept through me so fast I nearly cried. She pulled out her phone, documenting everything on the hospital's secure system. Then my own phone buzzed on the tray. A text. From Kimberly. "On my way. Did she sign?" The moment the door shut behind Alan, Callie moved fast. She paged the nurse, asked for Marlene's chart, and wrote in firm, clear script. "No legal documents to be signed or presented without hospital legal representative present." "Want me to report the text?" she asked gently. I shook my head. "Not yet." We waited. I could hear my own pulse in the base of my skull. 10 minutes later, the door opened. Kimberly stepped in like nothing had happened. Dressed to impress, cashmere sweater, delicate gold hoops, her lipstick too perfect for a hospital visit. "Hi, Mom," she said brightly. "Brought you something. Figured we'd knock out some of the routine stuff today." She placed a slim, pale green folder on my tray, right next to the untouched coffee Alan had left. I looked at her. Just looked. Then Callie stepped forward. "Ms. Wexler, I'm Callie Owens, Hospital Social Work and Elder Services. I've been made aware of some recent concerns regarding consent and documentation." Kimberly's smile froze. "Excuse me?" Callie's voice didn't waver. "No documents will be signed or collected until our legal team has reviewed them in full." Kimberly glanced at me, then back at Callie. "I think there's a misunderstanding. My mother's been having some memory issues." I kept my expression neutral. Callie replied coolly, "Ms. Wexler's medical record notes no diagnosis of cognitive impairment." Kimberly's mouth opened and closed like a faulty faucet. She reached for the folder. I laid my hand over it. "No," I said quietly. "I'll hold on to it." Her eyes flashed. "You don't know what you're doing, Mom," she snapped. "You'll regret this." Then she turned and walked out. Silence settled over the room. I opened the folder. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Typed, clean. It was a resignation letter. From me. Resigning as trustee of my own estate. The paper sat in my lap like a letter from another universe. It had my name, my address, my signature line, blank. Every sentence was bloodless. "I, Marlene J. Wexler, hereby resign as trustee and grant full authority to the alternate désigné. No warmth. No thank you for years of stewardship. just a clean surgical removal of everything I had built. Callie scanned it beside me, her brow furrowing deeper with every line. "This wasn't thrown together overnight," she said quietly. "They've had legal counsel. These forms are airtight, except for one thing. They assumed you'd be passive." "I was," I said, "for a while." Callie nodded, then paused at the bottom of the page. "And now?" "Now I'm awake." She smiled, just a little. "Good," she said, standing. "I'm filing this with risk management and starting a formal incident report. If they try anything else, we escalate, fully." After she left, I reached under the tray and pulled out the folded copy of the power of attorney Alan had tried to slide past me. I unfolded it beside the resignation letter. The two documents spoke the same language, same margins, same font, same oily fingerprints of control, and the same signature, mine, forged. They weren't just maneuvering me out of the way, they were trying to disappear me on paper. I whispered, "They're not just pushing me out, they're erasing me." The words landed heavy. I sat back, staring at the ceiling tiles until the edges blurred. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message, this time from an unknown number. "We can help. Don't trust your daughter." The message glowed in the dim light like a lit match in a dry room. "We can help. Don't trust your daughter." I stared at it, my thumb hovering. Then I typed, "Who is this?" The reply came fast. I knew Maria. She left a folder. Maria. I hadn't heard that name in nearly a decade. My chest tightened. She had been my husband Jack's paralegal. Quiet, sharp-eyed, loyal. She used to bring homemade scones to the office and hum under her breath when she worked. She died suddenly. A car accident, I think. I never got the full story. But before that, yes. She'd pulled me aside once, years ago, and said, "If Jack ever passes first, you should know, I prepared a fail-safe, just in case someone tries something." "Something?" I'd laughed then. "Like what?" "People change when money's on the table," she'd said, and now someone's claiming to have what she left behind. My hands trembled as I replied. "Maria's folder?" The next message. "Yes, I'm Leo. Maria was my aunt." A pause. Then, "Can I come tonight? Just me." My breath caught. I hesitated, then typed, "Yes, after 8. Ask for me directly. No one else." The rest of the day passed like syrup. Every sound outside my door made me flinch. When the night nurse came in after dinner, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Someone named Leo's here to see you," she said. "Said you'd understand." I closed my eyes for half a second. "Send him in." My hands wouldn't stop shaking. He stepped into the room with careful eyes and quiet feet. Leo, mid-30s, lean build, denim jacket with the elbows worn soft. He looked like a man used to being underestimated, and comfortable with it. In his hands, a brown accordion folder frayed at the corners. The elastic band holding it shut had snapped and been replaced with a paper clip. "Ms. Wexler," he said gently. "I'm Leo. Maria was my aunt." The moment he said her name, something warm and awful bloomed in my throat. I nodded, unable to speak. "She kept a safety deposit box," he said, pulling the visitor chair close. "I only found the key last year. This was inside. It had your name on it." He handed me a sealed envelope, brittle at the edges. I opened it slowly. Inside was a single page, typed, signed in that tidy looped script I remembered. "Marlene, if Kimberly ever tries to assume control, show this to Louis Trent. Trust your gut. Maria." I opened the folder. There it was. A full amendment to my estate plan. Signed, notarized, drafted with care. It granted me irrevocable control, one that could only be overridden after independent medical review and court approval. Then came the shock. Tucked behind it, Maria had included printouts, copies of emails, notes, even a bank inquiry Kimberly made over 6 years ago, all of them circling the same drain. She kept tabs, Leo said. I think she knew what was coming. I sat there, stunned, every dismissed instinct now standing up and saluting. This was supposed to stay sealed unless it was needed, Leo added. But when I heard from my aunt's old law contact that you'd been admitted and under pressure, I knew it was time. I touched the top of the folder, grounding myself. Leo, I said, my voice steady now, I want to fight. He nodded. If you want to fight, he said softly, this is how you win. The folder sat on my lap like a life raft. I flipped through the documents one more time, my fingers shaking less now. It wasn't just legal language, it was protection, proof. Maria had seen something in Kimberly before I ever did. Leo leaned forward. You want me to take the originals? I nodded. Straight to Lewis Trent, West Ridge Bank. He's expecting something like this. I'll go now, he said, tucking the folder into a weatherproof pouch. You keep the copies. Stay quiet until I confirm they're in safe hands. He stood, zipped his jacket, and met my eyes. You're tougher than they think. He was gone within minutes, disappearing down the hall like he'd never been there. I took the copies and slid them into my overnight bag. Tucked it under my cardigan. Then I waited. Callie came back an hour later. I showed her the letter, the amended estate plan, the trail of Kimberly's inquiries. She whistled low. This changes everything. I want them flagged, I said. Every document, every visit, every name. We'll escalate, she said. Today. I nodded. But then, of course, the room phone rang. Megan answered, listened, then covered the mouthpiece. Your daughter's asking for permission to speak directly with risk management, she said carefully. Wants to clear something up. My heart thudded once, slow and deep. Put her through, I said. Megan handed me the receiver. I pressed it to my ear with one hand and held Maria's letter with the other. Hello, Kimberly, I said, my voice cool and even. I think we need to talk. On the record. Mom, Kimberly snapped as soon as I said her name. What's going on? Why are you dragging hospital lawyers into this? I leaned back in the bed, watching the ceiling, my voice steady. Because you and Alan brought a forged power of attorney into my hospital room. There was a pause. We were trying to help, she said, brittle and breathless. You've been confused. You don't know what you've said half the time. Stop. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I'm not confused, and I know what I didn't sign. You don't understand how much we've been doing behind the scenes, the paperwork, the planning. It was to protect you. From what? I asked. My own name, my own house, my own bank account? Silence. I've spoken with Hospital Legal, I continued, and Risk Management. I've submitted copies of a notarized amendment to my estate plan. Maria helped prepare it. You remember Maria, don't you? Another pause. Her voice, when it came back, was no longer smooth. How do you even have that? I smiled. Maria still speaks louder than you do. She hung up. I held the receiver for a moment, then set it down with care. Callie stepped back in just as I reached for my water. They're flagged, she said. No more direct contact until legal review is complete. That night, the hospital halls were quiet. The dinner tray came and went. I sipped warm apple juice and stared out the window at the orange city lights. Then my phone buzzed. Leo. Delivered. Trent confirmed everything. But he said something odd. Kimberly and Alan visited him 2 weeks ago, asking about closing your accounts. Said you'd given verbal consent. I stared at the message. They weren't just maneuvering around me. They were paving over me. I opened the notebook, found a blank page, and wrote, They plan to vanish me, not bury me, just vanish. By morning, my voice had returned, not just in volume but in force. With Callie's guidance, we contacted West Ridge Bank and initiated a formal hold on all my accounts. No transfers, no closures, not even a balance check without my explicit recorded permission. Smart move, Callie said. Prevention is cleaner than cleanup. After that, I called Nora Mendel, Jack's old lawyer. The woman who helped us through probate and always signed her letters with a fountain pen. "Nora," I said, "I need you." She paused on the other end, hearing something in my voice. "I'll be there tomorrow," she said. "Bring everything you have." That afternoon, I texted Leo. "Can you go to the house? Back door key is under the ceramic turtle. Above the fridge, inside the green tin, is a blue key. It opens the filing cabinet in the hallway closet. Look for anything with Maria's handwriting." He replied within minutes. "On it. We'll be careful." The hours dragged. I didn't nap, didn't eat much. I just waited. At 9:13 p.m., my phone buzzed. A photo. Blurry, but unmistakable. The blue key. And below it, folded once and taped to the inside panel of the filing cabinet drawer, a yellowed envelope with my name on it in Maria's looping script. For her eyes only. I pressed the phone to my chest and exhaled for what felt like the first time all day. They thought they'd buried me in paperwork, but they forgot I'd buried some of my own. I whispered into the dark. They buried me in paper, but forgot I kept the shovel. Nora arrived at 9:02 a.m., right on the dot, hair clipped back, blazer crisp, her heels making a quiet authority with every step. "Tell me everything," she said, setting her briefcase on the windowsill. I did, from Kimberly's early questions to the fake doctor, to Maria's folder and Leo's photo of the handwritten envelope. She read as I spoke, flipping through the copies, jaw tightening with every page. "This isn't sloppiness," she said finally. "It's premeditated, timed, coordinated. Can we file something?" "Absolutely. Injunction, protective hold, criminal complaint if needed. But I'd like to see those handwritten notes from Maria before we go scorched earth." "I want it airtight," I said. She nodded, impressed. "Good." Megan knocked mid-conversation, handing me a sealed envelope. No return address. Just my name, typed. I opened it slowly. Inside, one printed page. A scan of my will. Edited. My signature copied, but wrong. Just off enough. And a new clause. Kimberly listed as sole executor. No mention of co-trustees. No medical checks. No contingencies. Nora leaned over, read it, then sat back with a whisper. "Oh, Marlene." "They were going to walk away with everything," I said quietly, before I even had a chance to stop them. "They weren't just planning to erase you," Nora said. "They were going to inherit you while you were still breathing." I stared at the page, but the fake version of my last word. Then Nora opened her laptop and said, with no trace of doubt, "We file today." The click-clack of Nora's keys was strangely comforting. Each stroke sounded like armor being fitted into place. "They think this is a probate grab," she muttered. "But with these documents, plus Callie's report, we've got a shot at something bigger. Patterned elder coercion, possibly even conspiracy." I nodded, still holding Maria's original envelope in my lap, unopened. Leo was bringing the full contents later that day. "I've never seen this kind of premeditation," Nora added. "They picked your weakest moment. But you weren't weak. You were watching." I almost smiled. Almost. Then came the knock. A hospital administrator I didn't recognize stepped in, clipboard in hand. "Ms. Wexler," he said carefully, "I need to inform you that Kimberly Wexler and Alan Bishop have filed for emergency guardianship. There's a hearing scheduled tomorrow morning." I felt the air drain from the room. "On what grounds?" I asked, heart pounding. "They submitted a physician's statement," he said, claiming cognitive decline, non-compliance, and confusion. My stomach dropped. "I want to see it," I said. He handed over a copy. The signature was clean. Official-looking, signed by Dr. Carlin. Nora took one look and swore under her breath. "She's not a doctor," I said. "She's an impersonator. She tried to get me to sign a forged power of attorney." The administrator paled. "That changes things. They're not just racing me to the finish," I whispered, eyes still locked on the forged document. "They're rewriting the whole track." Nora didn't waste time. She stepped into the hallway and called someone she referred to only as Judge Ellison. "I clerked for him 20 years ago," she said when she came back in. "He owes me one, and he hates forgery." Meanwhile, Leo arrived, a messenger bag slung over his shoulder. He handed me Maria's folder like it was glass. Inside were pages, dated, detailed, and devastating. Maria had kept notes on Kimberly. Each interaction, each question, each suspicious shift. One page was a timeline labeled Touch Points. March, asked about property title. June, insisted on reviewing utility bills. August, photographed jewelry and safe box. "She saw it coming," I whispered. "She tried to stop it," Leo added. Nora scanned the pages with clinical precision. "This is gold. We go in tomorrow with a timeline, a fake doctor, and forged documents, plus Callie as a witness." As if on cue, the hospital's legal office confirmed Callie would attend the hearing. "As a mandated reporter," they said, "we take this seriously." I exhaled, but peace didn't last. My phone buzzed again. Alan. "You're not thinking clearly. Let's handle this privately. No need for court." I didn't answer. I deleted it, then turned back to Maria's timeline, running my finger down the faded ink. "You were right," I whispered. "About all of it." The wheels on the transport chair squeaked louder than usual that morning. Everything else was quiet. Nora walked beside me, notes clutched to her chest. Callie trailed behind, hair pinned up, expression unreadable. They brought us to a private conference room. White walls, closed blinds, a mounted screen for the video call. Kimberly and Alan arrived 10 minutes later. Kim wore a black sheath dress and a pearl necklace I hadn't seen since Jack's funeral. Alan wore smugness and a suit. The judge appeared on screen at 9:03 sharp. Virtual courtroom. Real stakes. Kimberly began smoothly, tears at the edges of her voice. "We love our mother. This has been so painful. She's confused, she's angry, and she's lashing out under stress." The judge listened. Then, "Let's talk about the physician's statement, signed by Dr. Carlin." Nora stood. "Your Honor, we challenge its validity. Dr. Carlin is not licensed. She does not exist in hospital records. She is not on staff." A pause. Then Callie took over. "I was present when a woman posing as Dr. Carlin attempted to obtain Ms. Wexler's signature under false pretenses. It was coercive. I filed a report." Kimberly paled. Alan shifted in his chair. Nora wasn't done. She submitted the forged will, Maria's timeline, the resignation letter, the sticky note in Kimberly's handwriting. The judge's tone changed. "I'm issuing an emergency stay," he said, voice sharp. "Guardianship request is suspended pending full investigation. Ms. Wexler retains all rights. Hospital cooperation with law enforcement is expected." Kimberly's mouth opened, but no words came. Alan looked at the screen like it had betrayed him. And I sat quietly, heart pounding, holding Maria's envelope in my lap. Kimberly didn't say a word when the ruling dropped. She stood up so fast her chair groaned. Alan followed, his mouth tight, his face unreadable. They walked out without even looking at me. I didn't breathe until the door clicked shut behind them. Back in my room, I felt the exhaustion hit like a tidal wave. My body hurt in places I hadn't noticed in days. Nora sat by the window, her voice low. "The investigation starts today, but it could take weeks. In the meantime, they're blocked from accessing anything, financial, medical, legal." I nodded slowly. That alone felt like oxygen. An hour later, Leo showed up. He brought a thermos of chamomile tea, my favorite, from my own kitchen, and a photo on his phone. My filing cabinet, sealed shut with evidence tape. A bright orange tag, under legal hold. That did it. I cried. For Jack, for Maria, for myself, the woman I almost let disappear. As the sun dipped low, the shadows in my hospital room softened. I reached for the brittle envelope Maria had left. It opened with a sigh of old paper. Inside, one sheet. Faint blue ink. No legal tone this time. Just her. "Marlene, They'll make you feel crazy. But truth leaves tracks. Love, Maria. I held it to my chest like it was breath itself. Then I opened my notebook, turned to the last used page, and wrote, "They buried me alive." But I remembered the map. The world got quieter after the ruling. No more surprise visits, no more strange phone calls. Just the slow, rhythmic pulse of machines and the rustle of nurses' shoes. Callie came by every afternoon with updates. "Internal inquiries active," she said one day, eyes flicking to the window. "The woman posing as Dr. Carlin? She's under investigation. Criminal impersonation. Likely more." I nodded, sipping tea. Leo stopped in later, laptop in tow. Together, we scanned every one of Maria's notes. He uploaded them to a password-protected drive, set with a 2-factor lock. "Now it's safe," he said. "Now it lasts." Nora kept working, never slowing. Her emails arrived like clockwork, full of filings and strategy. Then yesterday a letter came. Hand-delivered, from Kimberly. The handwriting was sharp, like it had been pressed too hard. Inside, no apology, no regret. Just this: "I was trying to protect what Dad built. You were going to give it all away. You left us no choice." I folded it carefully, set it beside Maria's note, one laced with love, the other, blame. That night, I slept early, and I dreamed of Jack, not as he was in his last months, frail, forgetful, but young again, shoulders strong, tie crooked like always. He looked at me, smiling. "You still remember who you are?" he asked. I reached for his hand. "Yes," I whispered. "I do." The cab pulled into the driveway slow, like even it knew the house wasn't the same. Leo helped me out, carrying my overnight bag like it was still packed with evidence. The front door creaked, not loud, just enough to remind me it had been opened by someone else too many times while I was gone. Inside, everything looked tidy. Too tidy. Drawers straightened, but not quite closed. Coasters stacked wrong. The tiny green sugar bowl from Vermont moved 2 inches to the left. "They were here," I said. Leo nodded, walking through the rooms like a detective. Nothing gone, but something stolen all the same. In my bedroom, I opened the cedar chest. There was the wedding photo of Jack and me. Face down. I turned it upright. His eyes looked right at me. Still crooked tie, still mine. Nora arrived mid-afternoon with paperwork in hand. "The judge denied their guardianship request," she said, "and they've both been subpoenaed. Fraud, forgery, impersonation." I nodded. Didn't celebrate. Didn't cry. Just asked them to leave me alone for a few hours. That night, I lit one small candle, laid out Maria's notes, Jack's old watch, and Kimberly's letter. Then I struck a match, held the letter over the sink, watched it curl inward and vanish. No smoke alarm. Just the pop of flame and the slow crumble of entitlement. I whispered, "Tomorrow I reclaim everything they thought I wouldn't notice." I woke before sunrise. No alarm, no rush, just breath and stillness and the soft creak of floorboards under my bare feet. The house felt different now, not just returned, but reclaimed. I slipped on Jack's old flannel, sleeves rolled twice at the wrists, still smelled faintly of cedar and the faint trace of his aftershave. Maria's note. I folded small and pinned inside the pocket. By 9 a.m., I stood at the counter of Westridge Bank. Louis Trent looked up, his face softening into something like relief. "Ms. Wexler," he said, standing, "it's good to see you upright again." He walked me through every document, clean, legal, mine. By lunchtime, my name sat alone on every account. No shadows. That afternoon, Nora filed the final motion, voiding every forged page. By sundown, I was home again, really home. I made soup, carrot and dill, Jack's favorite. A slow simmer filled the kitchen, the kind of scent that warms the walls. I ate alone, no music, just the spoon tapping ceramic and the hum of peace. Later, I called Leo. "Thank you," I said. He didn't say much. He didn't need to. After the call, I took out a fresh notebook, wrote the date, and then started writing. Maybe it's a letter. Maybe it's the beginning of a book. But the story is mine now. They almost wrote me out. But I took the pen back.